Before he became the face of a new nation, George Washington was simply a young boy growing up on a modest farm in Virginia. He wasn't born into great wealth, he wasn't sent to elite academies, and he certainly didn't imagine that history would one day call him the father of a country. But his story is a reminder that extraordinary leaders can rise from ordinary beginnings. This is the journey of George Washington, from a humble farmer to the first president of the United States. A story of discipline, sacrifice, and the unwavering will to serve a nation that did not yet exist. George Washington was born in 1732 on a quiet plantation along the Potomac River. Unlike many leaders of his era, Washington did not grow up surrounded by luxury. His father's early death meant that higher education was beyond reach. Instead of lectures in grand halls, Washington learned from the land itself. As a boy, he worked the fields, cared for animals, and developed a deep connection to nature. He became skilled at riding horses, navigating forests, and surviving harsh conditions. These were not the skills of a privileged aristocrat. They were the traits of a young man shaped by responsibility and hard work. Washington later trained as a land surveyor, traveling long distances through rugged terrain. This work taught him discipline, precision, and an intimate understanding of the geography that would later become vital on the battlefield. His childhood may have been simple, but it forged the foundation of a future leader. At the age of 20, Washington made a decision that would change the course of his life. He joined the Virginia militia. He had no formal military education, no grand connections, and no special training. What he had was determination, a commanding presence, and a reputation for discipline. Tall, strong, and calm under pressure, he quickly earned the respect of his peers. Marching through dense wilderness and enduring harsh conditions, Washington gained first-hand experience in the realities of frontier warfare. He studied tactics, observed the decisions of experienced officers, and learned through trial and error. Though he faced setbacks early on, each challenge sharpened his leadership. These years were a crucible, shaping a young officer into a determined commander who would one day lead a revolution. In 1775, the colonies were on the brink of open conflict with the most powerful empire in the world. The Continental Congress needed a leader, not just a general, but someone who could unite 13 very different colonies. They chose George Washington. As commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, Washington faced overwhelming odds. His troops were poorly trained, under-equipped, and often hungry. Winter after winter, they fought not only the British, but also cold, illness, and despair. Yet Washington refused to give up. He inspired his soldiers with his presence, riding among them in moments of fear, sharing their hardships, and demanding nothing of them that he would not endure himself. One of the most daring moments came in the winter of 1776. On a freezing Christmas night, Washington led a surprise crossing of the icy Delaware River. It was a desperate gamble, but the victory that followed revived the spirit of the Revolution. Years later, the turning point came at Yorktown. With support from allies and a coordinated strategy, Washington's forces surrounded the British. After years of struggle, the tide finally shifted. When victory arrived, Washington did not celebrate with triumph. He celebrated with relief, knowing the dream of independence had survived. After the war, something remarkable happened. Washington did something almost unthinkable for a victorious military leader. He surrendered his command and returned to his farm at Mount Vernon. In a world where great generals often sought crowns, Washington sought peace. His decision amazed leaders around the world. Some called it one of the greatest acts of restraint in history. Washington believed that the power he held belonged to the people, not to him. And so he stepped away, returning to the quiet life he cherished, tending crops, managing his estate, and hoping his service had finally come to an end. But history had other plans. In 1789, the young nation faced a new challenge, building a stable government. The people trusted Washington, and he was unanimously elected as the first president of the United States. He accepted reluctantly, knowing the weight of the responsibility ahead. As president, Washington had no example to follow. Every decision he made would set a precedent. Every action would define what the presidency should be. He formed the first cabinet, established the balance between federal and state powers, and guided the country through economic uncertainty. He worked to maintain neutrality in foreign affairs, believing the new nation needed time to grow stronger before engaging in global conflicts. He also established an important tradition, the two-term limit. He voluntarily stepped down after 8 years, ensuring that leadership would pass peacefully to the next generation. He had been a general, a revolutionary, and now the first leader of a democracy built on the idea of civic duty, not personal ambition. Washington passed away in 1799, leaving behind more than a legacy of titles or victories. He left a model of leadership defined by discipline, integrity, and humility. Today, his name stands on monuments, schools, cities, and the capital of the nation he helped create. But perhaps his greatest legacy is this: he proved that a free nation could be led not by a ruler who clings to power, but by a citizen who serves, and then steps aside. Washington's story remains a reminder that leadership is not born from privilege, but from character. From a modest farm in Virginia to the presidency of a new nation, his life shows the power of resilience, responsibility, and vision. Washington did not simply lead a revolution. He helped define what America would become.